Hi everyone, I'm Charlotte Kilpatrick reporting for VaccineNation from the World Vaccine Congress in Barcelona. I'm delighted that today we're joined by Dr. Andrew Catchpole of hVIVO. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
To kick us off, would you just kindly introduce yourself and your current role?
Sure, good to meet you, Charlotte. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer at hVIVO Services Limited.
Fantastic, thank you. So you presented in the respiratory track a case study of respiratory virus challenge models. Can you tell us a bit about this session?
Yes, this case study that we presented was to highlight how our challenge studies can really solve some of the problems that people see in field trials. And what specifically I mean by that is, in field trials for respiratory viruses, what often happens is you end up chasing the disease around the globe, and some of those strains that you're trying to find often don't circulate at all. So you end up with an efficacy study, for example, on influenza, where you may have shown efficacy against H1 or H3, but not been able to show it against B viruses because they didn't circulate that year. So now what we're seeing is our customers using challenge studies to very much complement and to de-risk those phase 3 studies. So they're taking some specific strains in challenge studies, like in that example I gave, a B virus, and doing a study, therefore, in a challenge study to get that efficacy data and to use that to complement the phase 3 studies. So this way, challenge studies can very much complement and de-risk the phase 3 studies by making sure you get efficacy and you don't have to chase it around the globe because you know what virus you give in a challenge study, of course, because it's all controlled.
Fantastic, thank you. So we're glad to hear continued positive results from your work, including a recent RSV antiviral human challenge. What about your experience and your expertise makes you a preferred partner for your clients?
Yeah, the RSV model has been really successful at hVIVO, and we've seen a lot of our customers come through using the RSVs, both for vaccines as well as for antivirals, actually. And you made reference there to a recent study that's published, and they saw really fantastic results. So now our customers come back and use this model and use hVIVO time and time again because you get reproducibility of data. We have that very deep understanding of the virological disease, not just a clinical unit, but we're also virologists at hVIVO. So it's very much you need to understand the nuances of how the disease operates and the manifestations to be able to then really tailor the endpoints to understand what you need to do in a challenge studies and how they do differ from field trials, so that when you've got efficacy in a challenge study, we can make sure that it's designed to translate to later stage field trials. I think when people are starting off doing challenge studies, they miss that nuance, and hVIVO really is experts in designing those studies.
Lovely, thank you. So your team has also just put hLab into the market as a standalone service, and you're increasing focus on clinical site studies and field trials. Can you tell us about the vision here?
Yeah, absolutely. So hVIVO now is synonymous with doing challenge studies, and then that's what we've become known for in the last few years. But to do a challenge study, we need to screen thousands and thousands of volunteers to find tens of numbers to put into a challenge study, because we use viruses that are naturally circulating. Now that means that everyone's got some levels of immunity against it, and to do a challenge study you need to get people infected. So actually what it means is, from an immunological point of view, most of our volunteers therefore are not eligible for a challenge study. So it also means we need a very huge and dedicated recruitment team, just recruiting volunteers and getting interest in clinical trials. So that exists to feed our challenge market because the success criteria is so narrow on a challenge study. But what it means is we have a huge volunteer database of healthy volunteers as well as people with comorbidities who really are engaged with us and want to do clinical trials. So now what we're doing is we now offer as a site as well to support phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials. So nothing to do with challenge, but using our infrastructure, our clinical infrastructure, and our really extensive recruitment infrastructure to be able to do these site services and support it. I mean, we'll give you an example. We've got a study running currently where the challenge set to us was, how many subjects could you do? We're really struggling. So we're able to do 1,000 subjects have been dosed just within 7 weeks to make sure that study really stays on track.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that. So it's obviously great to have hVIVO back at the Congress. We look forward to welcoming you every year. What are your key lessons or impressions from this Congress?
Actually seeing quite a lot of excitement, actually. So, in previous years, there's always been about what's happening after COVID. There's some downturn into some investments into the small biotechs. And yes, that's going on, but also there's some really excellent developments for some new vaccines. And I'm encouraged here to see some yet more of the RSV and HMPV combined vaccines. That's of particular interest to us. I presented today on some really exciting, hot off the press HMPV data. When I say hot off the press, they're literally in the clinic right now.
Wow.
But that's showing really encouraging results that people are actually getting infected with HMPV in our challenge models. And I'm sure that's going to be a really good model going forward to help our customers demonstrate that efficacy against HMPV for their combo vaccines, RSV and HMPV, because it's going to be a little tricky in the field to get that pure efficacy. So getting that proof of concept, just as was done with RSV vaccines, where they got breakthrough designation and really helped later stage studies, we're now excited to see that's possible with HMPV, with hVIVO.
Fantastic. Well, it's great to see your excitement. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.